So, I've got an important message for you. You're going to die. Sounds a bit drastic, doesn't it? There's not many things we can be absolutely certain of, especially with Trump in power now. But there is one absolute certainty, and that is you're going to die. This sounds really negative, and you probably think it's going to be a really morbid video, but it's not. Stick with me. I'll explain myself. So let me ask you one question. If you're on your deathbed, and imagine you're right there now. This is it. Time's up. You're going. What would you regret? Would you have regrets? Pretty sure most of us would. Some of them, I'd like to think I wouldn't. But let's ask ourselves that question. Go through that slightly morbid question. At the end of it, I'd like to think there's a really positive outcome from this. First question is, have you wasted this life? Life's an incredible thing that you've been given, a gift. And the big question is, have you wasted it? Have you just wasted it away sitting on the sofa, watching telly? Or have you wrung everything out of life? You know, really lived it, done everything, been there, done that, and lived everything. For most of us, I suspect it's the former of those two. Maybe you've been a complete arsehole all your life, and you're laying on your deathbed thinking, Jesus, I wish I hadn't been such an arsehole. I've got some friends that'll probably say that's me. You know who you are. If you're lucky, you've still got plenty of time to correct those things. You can stop being an arsehole, and you can go out and do all those things. Get off your arse, get off that sofa, stop wasting your life away. I mean, there's plenty of time for downtime. There's nothing wrong with a bit of downtime. But overall, over your life, you can now change that. Most of us can, even as old as I am. I've still got time to change some things. Maybe I'll stop being an arsehole. I might have one regret on my deathbed, when I've killed that fucking dog that keeps barking over my videos. It's an old film, it's old now, called Ghost. Demi Moore, if I remember rightly. Patrick Swayze. Anyway, Ghost, you've probably all seen it. And when bad people go to die, there's these dark figures that come out from the shadows and drag them kicking and screaming. And I think that's meant to be our conscience when we die. Got an interesting aside there, and this is getting a bit deep. When my late wife died, every time she got close, she had a smell of baking, an elderly lady who was going to take her away to go baking. And the hospice nurse said to me, when she dies, she'll just go off baking with that lady. To me, that's a sign of a clear conscience. I'd like to think that on my deathbed, I can lay there with a clean conscience, knowing I haven't been that arsehole, that I haven't caused people a load of grief, I haven't done horrible things, and more importantly, well not more importantly, as importantly, I haven't wasted that life. Going back to my late wife again, people used to say to her about having cancer. She had cancer which was then cured or in remission. I don't know that it's ever cured. And then it came back a bit more seriously. People used to ask her about her cancer. She used to say it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. People's faces when she used to say that are just incredible. And she said, it taught me that life is finite and I have to do things, get on with things, stop putting up with things that are wrong, do things, do something about it, and live actively. It's frightening to think that you would need quite such a jolt to make that realisation. So maybe, who knows, this video might help you make that realisation. Get off the sofa, you lazy bastard. So why not give yourself a stock take? Have a look at your life, say, what have I done? What could I do better? What would I change? You can change it. You can make right wrongs. You can go and do things. You can stop being that arsehole. Keep coming back to that one, I don't know why. But it's a good time to take a stock check. Anytime it's a good time to take a stock check of your life and see whether you're moving in the right direction and how it's going. I'd like to think on my deathbed I'll have a clear conscience. don't believe I've done anything particularly wrong. I've got no guilt. I've wrung everything out of life. I've parachuted, kayaked, skied, jumped off a ski lift, jumped a restaurant on skis, won't go into that, scuba dived, crashed many a car. I don't know if you've seen those lists on Facebook where they say mark yourself 1 point for everything you've done. Smoking weed, crashed a car, done so and so, done this. Pretty much check every one of them. I've really bloody wrung everything out of life. I've lived all over Europe. Most of the countries of Europe I've lived and worked in. I worked for the mafia. Probably won't go into that one. By the way, I didn't know I was working for them at the time. It wasn't until I'd taken the job I realised I was working for the mafia. When I got stopped by the police one day and they wanted to look at my work permit, and when they saw who I worked for, brushed me down, apologising and asking me, "Not our children, please." And that's the point I realised I was actually working for the mafia. It's a very long story. I've shot up the car of an East London gangster. Another long story. They were breaking into our house and I shot up their car, and I had police protection, armed police protection, for 2 weeks afterwards. I've lived it, I've lived it. We made a ski jump, tried to jump over the road that crosses the island I live onto. We got stopped by the local copper. So we done some crazy shit. And so I can comfortably say I've done some shit. And I honestly think that on my deathbed, I'm not saying I'll be necessarily ready to go, but on my deathbed I can lay there thinking, yeah, I didn't waste that. My old dad, at the ripe old age of 92, was on his deathbed, and we all knew it was coming. It was days away, and everybody was sad. Of course we were sad. We were going to miss him. It's a sad time. But I sat there with him and I thought, he wrung everything out of life. He's had 92 years of doing everything. He's flown planes. He's crashed a plane and survived. Flown planes, flown on Concorde, been all around the world, done everything. Been there, done that, sailed, skied, done everything. And there he is at 92 on his deathbed, and you think, it wasn't a wasted life. He'd done everything. And I'd like to think that when my time comes, I'll have that comfort of knowing I've done everything. You know that saying, it goes along the lines something like, buy experiences and not things. That is so true. You'll forget that bicycle you bought, that posh car you bought, that whatever you bought. You'll remember the experiences you had. So it's a better thing to go making experiences, and as you get older and you get that sort of wealth of experiences, you can look back on it. It gives you a nice comfortable glow. I can look back on things I've bought. There's very few things I've bought where I look back on them and think, that was fantastic. Maybe the experience of those things I've bought. Experience is far more important than tangible goods. So this is it. Go back. Imagine you're on your deathbed. What would you change? Put money on it. You won't be doing the job that you're currently doing. I think COVID taught us that. Many people suddenly realised they didn't like their job. I think you might question some of your friends. You might question your partner or relationship. But go back and just have a look at all those things. Just do a stock check and see where you stand. If you're currently wasting your whole life on a games console, sitting on the sofa, watching telly, talking shite, and maybe it's time to change things. Maybe you'd be comfortable laying on your deathbed knowing that you've pissed away your whole life playing on an Xbox. I suspect you wouldn't. So just put yourself in that position and just see where you stand. It's an interesting test. Do it occasionally. I had an operation last week. I read through the list of risks. Incidentally, just to add a stupid note to this, and you'll have to excuse my language, on the form it said you may suffer extreme bruising to your penis and scrotum. And I said to the doctor, what are you going to do, drag me through to the operating theatre by my cock? He he didn't find it very funny, but the anaesthetist fell about laughing. So anyway, I looked through that list of possible risks. I thought, holy shit, this is a risk. It's a risk I had to take. It wasn't a particularly serious operation, common man problem with a hernia on my groin, not very comfortable. But when you get handed a piece of paper saying sign here to say you accept these risks, it does make you think, is it today? Thankfully it wasn't, and thankfully I came out with pretty much no pain. I might cover that operation. There's probably plenty of men having it, and why I had it, how it went. Actually, I'm blown away with how well it went. I haven't had any pain. I came out of it with no pain and just recovering fast, so absolutely blown away with keyhole surgery, but may cover that on a separate thing. Where are we going from here? Well, I'm still going to cover my house. I'm working on it. You just wouldn't believe how much footage and how much I've got on my house renovation. It's pretty much done now. Just got the garden and the conservatory to do. I've ordered a garden office, one of those posh, call it a posh shed if you like, garden office to go in. Plinth is all down. I'm actually standing where it's going to go now because it's a lovely sunny day, so I thought I'd be out in the garden. So that's arrived just after my hernia operation, which is perfect timing. So that won't go up for a little while, but I might cover that. I'm going to cover the garden. The garden's an absolute mess, but it's absolutely rammed with bees at the moment. I've been collecting swarms, got all my hives ready to go out into the fields with the new swarms. And so my garden is, I'm surprised actually, I'm up the corner because the rest of the garden is just a cloud of bees, and I'm surprised we haven't had bees, making a cameo appearance in this. So I'll cover that. I'm going to, now we're in the spring, we've got decent weather at last in the UK. We've actually got better weather than my house in France, so that's why I'm here in the UK and not in France. I'm going to cover my electric bike. That just seems fucking crazy. Going to do a bit of kayaking. I bought an inflatable with an outboard just for pootling around in the harbour in the evenings. Cover that. So there's plenty to cover, just need to actually get on and do the videos. I'm going to pop in a quick video after this one on the Pomodoro technique. It's a technique I've found as I'm getting older. I find it less and less easy to concentrate, and so I'm using the Pomodoro technique, which is a timer based system. I bought this little timer. God, it works fantastically well. I'm going to pop a little video in on that next. It'll probably only be 5 minutes, and then hopefully I'll get the house video done from there. So we'll see you then. Follow along, like and subscribe if you like my videos. It makes such a world of difference. It's going to be a horrible sight if this comes out on the video. I think this lens needs a clean. And just do a stock check of, if you die tomorrow, how would you feel about that? Oh, fucking, I fucked that up again. Fucked that up with an didn't I? Right, I think I've got enough there to put the video together. It's just as well, because the weather's turned to shit. I was responsible decades ago, it's a confession coming up, for the great Mersey gnome heist. We used to steal people's gnomes for a week, send them a postcard from somewhere like Lowestoft saying, having a lovely time, wish you were here, your gnome. Paint a suntan on the gnome and then put it back. For years nobody knew it was us, until finally we rounded up pretty much every gnome on the island, lined them up on the Strood, which is the road that crosses onto the island. That was me. Confession time.